That's what he's gonna act like.
Trump's America. This is what voters silently voted for. Not really sure what this has to do with Donald Trump. One person said, I'm in love with her, and that has almost 50,000 likes. Hey there, did you hear about the video that is going very viral from a playground in Rochester, Minnesota? And I guess that this is becoming the revenge of the Give, Go, Send, because you may remember the name Karmelo Anthony, who took the life of a track athlete at a track meet, and then he raised over $500,000 in the name of protection. Well, now we have a woman whose name is Shiloh Hendrix, who has raised $720,000 after this video went viral.
Call him the child? Did you call the child the word? It is my own business. You call him. Okay, why don't you have the boss to say it right now again?
You
Okay. All right, that's what you say.
You don't go digging through people's you dumb.
Nobody digging to your.
A little kid just did, you dumb.
That little kid, you call him a. The little child?
What if he acts like one, he's gonna.
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child 5-year-old and the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know, that's a hate speech. And you can be the that.
In this video, we are going to read the many different responses to the Shiloh Hendrix situation. So we are going to start with the comments on TikTok, and then we will move over to X. The reason why I am doing this is because we're supposed to be the United States of America, and I just want to see how we are doing with that. So this person says hate is really taking over. If you don't believe me, look at her $400,000 Shiloh Hendrix Give, Send, Go, and look at the reasons people are donating hundreds of dollars to her. I actually heard that the comments of her Give, Go, Send have been turned off because apparently they weren't appropriate. This person says, I applaud the man for standing up and saying something. This person says, shame on the people that donated to her. That has 166,000 likes. This person says, freedom of speech. That has 22,000 likes. This one says, and that poor baby boy is guaranteed to grow up and be taught her hatred. Another person says, he took my son's stuff doesn't mean you should call him racial slurs. This person says, the amount of racist people here makes me so mad. Another person says, I can't believe people are supporting racism towards a little kid. Another person says that Trump's America. This is what voters silently voted for. I'm not really sure what this has to do with Donald Trump or Trump supporters, but okay. Another person says her GoFundMe is already 200,000. America is declining because of hate. Another person says people normalizing racism in these comments with a dead flower emoji. Another person says these comments are cruel. Defending a woman harassing a child with racist language isn't good. Of course not. And it is also not good to support killing other people. Another comment says, pure hatred for no reason. This one says, I called the kid out for what he was on her Give, Go, Send. Hell no. She called him a racial slur because of her hatred, and now she's funded almost $500,000. Of course, this website options are give, share, and pray. Her Give, Send, Go has almost $500,000 now. It has more than $700,000 actually, and others are setting up donations to help her in the name of white unity. This is hatred. This one says, he didn't accuse her. She did say it multiple times. I wonder who she voted for. Again, pretty crazy that they're trying to make all Trump supporters out for being racist. I don't know what this has to do with Trump, but that has 73,000 likes. Another person says the hatred within this group. And then Ethan says, and y'all, she's making money off of this. She has made over $250 for posting on Give, Go, Send, help protect my family. You're joking. And that has 117,000 likes. This one says that now she has a Give, Go, Send account that's up to 350K. So everybody has been counting how much money she has made, and now she has surpassed Karmelo Anthony. One person said she stood ground. She stood her ground, and I respect that. That has almost 27,000 likes. So you can see that some people in some ways support Shiloh, but many people are very, very outraged. This one says she almost has a 550K and reset her goal to 1 million. This isn't about being scared. This is her retirement plan. America is a joke. It's actually insane how much money Karmelo Anthony and this woman Shiloh have made. The way we have gone gone backwards is insane. One person said, I'm in love with her, and that has almost 50,000 likes. Another person says, cancel culture is canceled. Why are people normalizing racism? People saying that a grown adult calling a kid a slur is right. We are cooked. America will never be great because it is built on racism and hate, says one person. The guilt is over. That is 8,000 likes. This person says, it's not like she stabbed someone. That has 1,000 likes. And this person says, they raised $500,000 for this lady. America has a problem. I wonder if that person also sees that America has a problem when Karmelo Anthony made so much money off of what he did. This person says, wow, rewarding racism is a new low. Is America great yet? This person says, Trump normalized this, which is crazy. Another person says that the amount of comments on the ladies' side is crazy. I'm actually seeing many comments that are pissed about her and pissed at Trump voters for some reason. This person says, I don't see a problem. That has 23,000 likes. So sad that our country is becoming so hateful. Another person said, she's my hero. This person says this woman was identified days ago. Why is NBC acting like they don't know? Literal opposite of journalism. So I am floored. My kid lost her kidney during COVID and we barely raised $1,500 and she needs to be safe. She chose that behavior. She should not be at public parks behaving the way she is. And I agree, her behavior was very, very trashy. And this was spot on because there are so many people that I have seen who need blood transfusions and they look for help, they look for support, they need transplants, and nobody seems to care. Or people who have been affected by fires, their houses have been burned down, and nobody really seems to care. But as long as they can publicitize it or make it controversial in some way, then suddenly everybody will support. It's very, very sad. This person said, I mean, she's only saying the truth. One person says, dude, why are people supporting her? Canceling her for stuff I be doing daily on COD. Okay, so this is where our country is at, I guess. You know, I learned from reading the 48 Laws of Power that many times people will try to control you by giving you two options and then making you feel like you have options and that you have to choose between the two. And I don't like the fact that we have to choose whether we're on Karmelo's side or on this lady's side. I think that they're both ridiculous, and I don't think that we should have to pick a side. I think that that's ridiculous. So this post says, stand with Shiloh. She did what so many are too afraid to do. She stood up, not for politics, not for clout, but for her child. Now they're trying to destroy her for it. That's interesting. That has 23,000 likes. What do you guys think of that? This one says, I have received reliable information that she is not a single mom. Indeed, her man and her have known each other for 10 years and have been a couple for 6 years. He is a hard worker who works his butt off for her to be a stay-at-home mom. Both children are his. This person says, I stand with Shiloh. This one says, the wild thing about Shiloh ordeal is that this broad is 36. Y'all know she's when that 100K check in donations clear. That's kind of rude. Rob Smith has a very logical opinion about it. He says, black racist crowdfunded for Karmelo Anthony, white racist crowdfunded for Shiloh Hendrix. Both are wrong. Please touch grass and visit the real world where blacks and whites and Latinos and Asians and everyone else aren't in some imaginary race war. That is so true. We are exposed to the most extreme and wild stuff. This one says, you want to know why we support Shiloh Hendrix? This is why. This person says that her account sits at $700,000. A lot of people are failing to understand why this happened. It was essentially a protest to show the mob that if they cancel someone over words, that person will profit from it massively. It was a protest against cancel culture. Another person says, to protect her, non-whites are making out she took the life of someone. All she did was protect her child like any mother would. Good to see the community coming together and raising funds so she can get her family to safety. After some brief research, I'm going to go ahead and say that it is highly unlikely. The kid is 5 years old. They think that he is about 10 years old. Jeffrey Mead says that he has been calling out anti-white racism in the black community because it leads nowhere. If racist hate from black Americans keep going unchecked, retaliation is inevitable, and a race war could would be a disaster for everyone. Shiloh Hendrix was wrong and does not deserve $600,000, but her getting that kind of money is what happens when black racism and aggression against white Americans goes unchecked for too long. America rightly condemns white racism. It's time we hold black racists equally accountable. Justice has to cut both ways. This account does not like the fact that Ben Shapiro is apparently against giving money to Shiloh. This person says, the jealousy and sadness I felt for so long watching every group but my own defend their people, no matter the crime, that was cured by Shiloh Hendrix. For the first time in my life, I saw my people say no. She's one of ours. Circle the wagons, grateful. Ugh. I don't think that her behavior was good. It was not good behavior. I mean, she could have stood up for herself in a better way. I mean, there are just so many different and very strong opinions about this. This person says the worst thing a white woman could ever do is call a thief and predator filming her at the park the N-word. The worst thing you could ever do as a white person is donate to help her deal with being doxxed, harassed, and threatened. This person says, I'm not going to play judge and jury here. All I'll say is white people only make up 8% of the global population. White females only 4%. Blonde white females even less. The word minority is being grossly misused. The most insane thing that I found from reading these comments was that people were relating it back to Trump and Trump supporters and basically saying that this is what Trump wants for America. I think that that is so deranged. And I just want to zoom out for a second because we were not there at the park this day. We are not personally involved in this drama. And it's just crazy that we live in a day and age where we see these things happening, but perhaps we don't fully understand the full picture. So it is okay to not have a strong opinion about it or a stance. The one thing that I do have to say is that her behavior was not good. Karmelo Anthony's behavior was not good. Not all MAGA is racist. In fact, we don't actually know if this woman was a Trump supporter or not. And honestly, I don't think that that is relevant, even though liberals try to make it relevant to the situation. Because despite what people say, Trump supporters are great people. And we truly do want unity for our country. That is why we voted for Trump, because it's not about your race. It's not about your gender, any of those things. All that matters is that we are Americans. We want to put America first and make America great again. And I believe that if you live in this country and you want this country to do well, then that is something that you would be able to get behind. Please make sure that you are subscribed. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye.